Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I really can't wait to hear Gary's view on this one.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss The Greasy Strangler, which came out in 2016 from director Jim Hosking. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Okay. Well, the story follows Big Ronnie and Big Braden, a father and son who run a tour group in America. Braden falls in love with a girl called Janet from one of the tour groups, but their love might be scuppered not only by Big Ronnie, but also by the Greasy Strangler.
Tell you a secret. I am the Greasy Strangler.
So this is an independent movie that did fairly well at the film festivals that it screened at, and I was surprised that this is actually produced by Elijah Wood.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that even makes it better.
Well, Elijah Wood and his production company have been dabbling in lots of strange, bizarre kind of movies because it tickles their funny bone.
And Wilfred's right up there.
And this is a comedy film, and comedy is the most subjective genre of all film, and so it's really difficult to kind of give a critical breakdown of this film, especially if you didn't really find it that amusing. Now, this film has garnered a massive cult following. A lot of people absolutely adore this film. And
those people are weird.
I can honestly see why. And, 2 minutes into this film, I already knew that it wasn't for me.
I think I might barf.
I just wonder why they haven't tried greasy coffee.
Greasy coffee?
Lo and behold, though, I'm now going to have to sit through the rest of the film, and it's only an hour and a half long, which I'm kind of thankful for. Because the director said that the original cut was 2.5 hours long.
Oh, fuck me.
And so a lot of scenes in the film have been truncated and shortened down. And that's one of the things about comedy, for me, is that with a joke, you can make the joke and it not be funny.
Yeah.
So you make the same joke again, and it's still not funny. But then you make that joke a third time, and then it's absolutely hilarious. And then you make that joke again and again, and it's not funny anymore. But then you make that exact same joke a sixth time, and then it's funny again.
That's Adam Sandler's career, isn't it?
That's kind of this film as well. I mean, the film opens up with this rundown house, and we're introduced...
It's in Michael Myers' house. That's how I felt.
And he brings his dad some coffee, and he's just like, "Son, I am the Greasy Strangler." And that's where we get this film's catchphrase, "Bullshit artist." Okay.
But you're a bullshit artist.
Yeah, I kind of am.
And he goes into this dialogue about how he should, there's not enough grease in his coffee.
Yeah, you should put more grease in your coffee. Michael playing Big Ronnie. It stand out in this film for me, but I said this to Gary when we sat down to review, because this is Gary's first time. He was a Greasy Strangler virgin when he sat down to watch the film. I'd already been done in by him one night. I honestly, I'm telling the story right now. I honestly can't remember if I was out playing games with you guys or if I was playing Xbox and I just happened to go in the front room. All I remember of that night is I turned on my TV, flipped over to film 4, and the Greasy Strangler was on. And I sat there for an hour and a half like...
Do you like oily grapefruit?
Is this real?
Yeah, the thing that blew my mind even more was after. Like, halfway through the film, you know me, I'm wikiing something, and I need to educate, what the fuck's going on? Even when I'm watching it, I'm like, I need to know where this is going, Nobody was talking about it. Like, you and I didn't discuss it, and we talk film all the time.
I knew of it, but I also knew that I wasn't that interested in watching it.
But that's the thing. You knew of it, but you were like, I don't want to watch that. So you kind of put it to the side. And I feel like a lot of people did that. But like you said, the film did well. It garnered a bit of a following. I'm watching it on TV, and I'm like, okay, well, this film must have some kind of presence. And it is the way it's delivered. Like I said, Michael St. Michael playing Big Ronnie. Oh my God, I don't know if he was convinced to wear half the shit he does, or he just has that in his wardrobe. I mean, fucking spoilers right now. Dude, his dance outfit.
Right. Well, that's the whole part of the premise, isn't it? Is that they are giving tours to all of these old disco hangouts of where famous singers or celebrities would go in disco.
Did they? It seems so fake.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can hardly believe it, and it's. I'm just going to say now as well that if during this video you might find some scenes of this film offensive or disturbing or disgusting, and so just a warning to anybody who's maybe interested in watching this film.
Yeah,
it has full frontal nudity, male and female.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of disturbing, gross out moments.
Actually, I wasn't too sure if some of that was prosthetic.
It was all prosthetic.
Yeah,
all of it.
Because that's what I mean. Like, some of the sequences I'm looking at, and I'm like, I can't tell if that's his real dick or not.
Well, okay.
I know I'm looking, but like Gary said, if you don't like my face, you're gonna see it a lot in this review on a lot of shots, and you're gonna be like, what the? Because They do these tour groups, Braden and Ronnie, and you have this really awkward dialogue sequence between an Indian man in the group and Big Ronnie asking for free drinks. And the first time I watched it, it really annoyed me. I had to sit there. It was a elongated piece of dialogue going back and forth. That honestly, it's just fucking bullshit.
It's bullshit.
But the second time I watched it, I kind of appreciated the writing behind it, and I also appreciated the way the actors kind of delivered it, because you said it before the review, it made me think of Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, absolutely.
It made me think of Rubber. It made me think of Gentleman Broncos as well. A load of awkward movies that not a lot of people like, but I find fucking hilarious.
Well, you said the right word. It is that awkwardness.
Yes.
And for me, it's just like nobody in the film acts like a human being. They all feel like they are all extensions of the writer and every character is the same. They all speak the same to each other. They're all monotone.
Yeah.
And it's strange and it's awkward.
Yeah.
And sometimes that works because I like awkward movies like Eagle versus Shark.
Yeah. See, that's another. But it's when the awkwardness fits in their universe, and I feel that's what makes this one for me successful, is that the awkwardness is already in the universe. The film's called Greasy Strangler, so I'm like, well, where the fuck's the Greasy Strangler? And it's not until you get past the initial opening with Braden and Ronnie, and Janet, you're meeting Janet for the first time, and just their awkward moments, that then you then see the tour group, and they're outside a motel, and they're wanting this packet of crisps, but they're all dressed like really poor prostitutes. And then they have this whole dialogue where the Indian guy can't say the word potato. And the second time watching this, I was dying with laughter.
Yeah, like I said, it's that same old thing with the joke, the running joke.
Porto. What? Porto. No, repeat it again. Porto. And you
say it slower.
Porto.
Porto.
Excuse me, what?
Porto.
Can you say that again?
Porto.
I don't understand. Can you say that again?
Porto.
Please, one more time.
Porto.
I find it funny because you're laughing, and it's funny.
Yeah, and it is the universe you have to be in, because obviously if we were together, I'd have been laughing my ass off. The moment you see, or you're not supposed to think it is, but it is basically Big Ronnie covered from head to toe in fucking grease, walking down the road, growling like some kind of animal, and he thrusts the first guy's head into the vending machine, and then, you know, he kills the second guy, and then
He doesn't just come, he punches him in the face.
Oh yeah, I know. I was leaving that bit for you. I thought you love headshot special effects. That bit was.
He just turned his head into rubber.
And then he's strangling the Indian guy, and the Indian guy, it's just giving this whole dialogue about how there's a girl in his room and he really wants to go and have sex with her, but he couldn't get it up, and so he came out to get some. And the whole time, Greasy Strangler.
And again, this is where the film would then go into the kind of repeated joke where, I mean, there's not really that much of a flow to the film in terms of the pacing. It kind of just feels like lots of little vignettes. And they're all broken up.
Yeah.
With the Greasy Strangler going into the car wash. And they repeat the same shots every time.
I love those bits.
Yeah. And, you know, it's because his facial expression, it's really emotive.
It does. It feels like he's turning back into a normal man.
Right.
But watching it for the second time, the way he talks to Big Paul, played by Gil Gex, the blind black car wash owner, to me there's like a whole history to them there, and at the same time the way that Ronnie goes off to the toilet, yeah, okay, you have to see his schlong quite a bit, and don't get me wrong, I'm still all against seeing masses of penises on screen, don't get me wrong. When he goes to the toilet and then he gets changed and he comes back out, I'm like, he knows he changes, so it's like a werewolf thing to me.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, like you know, he needs to feed this beast, and it's the way he expresses freedom. I don't know. The film's called the fucking Greasy Strangler. The guy covers himself in grease, but then sitting there with his mate, and they're talking about how they're going to go to the disco, and Ronnie's talking about Braden, about how he shits the bed, and about how his wife left him, and his son's depressed. I'm like, man, there's this whole real dialogue of people behind them, which, unlike you, I don't care about. I just want to see more awkward, funny sequences.
Well, that's the entirety of this film.
Yeah, well, to some, not
it
to
does
others.
then get into the bulk of kind of what the film was about, and that is that there is the beginning of the love triangle.
Yes.
Between Janet, and Big Ronnie, and Braden.
Yes.
Braden and Janet have their first date. And Ronnie is just like, no, you can't bring her back. She's going to take you away from me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to evict you if you keep seeing her. But he's falling in love with her. She's falling in love with him.
Yeah.
We get to see their embarrassing first sexual escapades.
I thought those were funny. I mean, well, not mainly the sexual stuff, the build up to it. I mean, Sky Elobar, who plays Braden, you know, he's the 40-year-old virgin, still living with his dad, embarrassed, naive, writing comic books that will never be, published. You know, he's led a very closed-in life.
It reminded me of like the Steptoe son.
Yeah. You know, his dad is forever giving him shit, farting in his face, and all this kind of stuff. And then he meets this girl who Janet first comes off at first, played by Elizabeth de Razzo, like as awkward as Braden. But then you kind of start to notice that she can be a bit manipulative.
Massively,
You know, like she is partly a wedge between this father-son relationship.
Yeah. Well, it's very cruel what happens because the two of them have this blooming romance set amongst these horrible, greasy incidents, and Ronnie gets upset with this, and so he decides he's going to take Janet out on a date.
Oh God!
And we watch them at this disco. It's just the two of them dancing
it's
with
not.
one guy behind them.
Like I sat there, like I don't remember this sequence the first time watching it. Is Ronnie gonna hit him? Is Ronnie gonna invite him into this? I'm pretty sure. No.
Oh, he's just gonna be another Greasy Strangler victim. But then he's trying to be the smoothie, and he's making moves on Janet, and Janet's like, "No, I love Braden," but it doesn't take long for Ronnie's smooth ass to get her into bed with him.
Yeah, not long, because Braden at this point is also realizing that his dad could be the Greasy Strangler. They're finding evidence of it. You know, his friend Porco, the guy with the pig nose, he gets killed, strangled in his house by the Greasy Strangler. And it's just, that's another awkward moment where the guy with the pig nose is like, he's like, I'm dying. Oh, I passed out there for a moment. It must be from the dying. Oh yeah, I can feel. And like I said, it's awkward for some people. For me, it's funny because I was prepared for it. I'm not so prepared for when he dips his fingers into the guy's nose and then licks it.
Yeah, that was one of the most memorable points in the film. Because that is pretty disgusting. And you're just like, are they? Is he? Oh, he is.
Yes.
He is.
The popping of the eyes of the hot dog vendor as well. And then the cooking them and the eating them. That was all like... But Braden's been talking to Janet and like, look, I'm finding this evidence and I found this grease, and he tries it on his dad and his dad likes it. And they find the grease in his bedroom as well. So when he invites Janet over and she goes to leave, Ronnie's there and he's like, yeah, when you come on inside. And they start having a relationship too. And out of this whole movie, right, there was a lot of fucked up, awkward, weird sequences in this whole movie. And I've seen some strange shit in my time. The sequence of her having sex with Ronnie and Ronnie telling her about the strings of cum that he can fire, and then them shouting hootie tootie fuck disco cutie continuously while Braden cries in the next room and then comes in and they're dancing in his face. That was well fucking awkward.
That was savage. I felt so sorry for Braden. I was just like, oh man, fucking grow a pair.
Hootie, tootie, disco, cutie, hootie. And she stood there. It was only this time that I really started to notice the excess bush hair that was coming out.
Well, exactly. Again, it was all prosthetics. It's all exaggerated.
Hootie tootie disco cutie, hootie tootie disco cutie, hootie tootie disco cutie, hootie tootie disco cutie.
I just remembered the part as well where Braden, where she lifts up her top for the first time and he's like looking at the boobs like and then he leans down to kiss it and she goes, I didn't tell you to do that, and he goes, oh okay. Or the phone sex. I don't even think I should go to the phone sex.
Well, you brought it up now, Ian.
No. Anyway, Braden realizes that obviously he's got to try and win Janet back, and he's also got to try to stop his father, the Greasy Strangler. But once he wins Janet back, Ronnie becomes the creature again. I mean, there's that whole weird moment where Ronnie's hiding underneath the bed and then leaps out on them and he fucks off and then comes back and he's covered in grease and kidnaps Janet. And you're like, oh my God, Braden's got to go rescue him. So Braden has this whole change moment where it's kind of like Teen Wolf, where he jumps into the grease in his dad's bedroom and he becomes a Greasy Strangler.
There was a moment before that where Braden hires a private investigator.
Oh yeah, that's his dad.
And it's just his dad who's got a fake tash and braces. I'm like, well, the whole teeth thing is just a fake.
Yeah.
And he's got the exaggerated long fingernails, and he's basically just trying to tell them that they shouldn't pursue this investigation.
Yep, no.
It's not admissible.
It's the way he gets the nails, and he's like, I have to go wash my face now. I have grease all over my face. I'm like, fucking awkward, man.
Yeah.
Awkward.
And so, yeah, Braden ends up jumping into that vat of grease and becomes a Greasy Strangler himself.
Yeah, and chases after his dad, and you're like, oh, they're gonna fight. They're gonna fight, but they turn up at the cinema that they'd been at before. And
The horror house.
The horror house. Yeah, I thought they said whorehouse.
Well, that's what I thought as well.
Yeah.
That's the way they pronounced it. The horror house.
The whorehouse.
You ready to hit the horror house?
There's Ronnie strangling Janet, and so Braden comes running in, and instead of saving Janet, he strangles her too.
Eyes pop out, he grabs them, they share it in some popcorn, and eat the eyeballs.
It's kind of a sweet father-son moment, because they
bonded again.
Yeah, they realised that Janet was a bit of a pain, because, I mean, what really freaked me out this film the first time, and kind of still throws me off the second time, is when they've become Greasy Stranglers and they decide that they're going to kill the mum's boyfriend, Ricky Pickles. Yeah. And they rush off into the woods. And this is like the whole end sequence. They rush off into the woods, they kill him, then it's, to me, watching when the Greasy Strangler versions of them are watching the normal versions of them get shot by old men with AK-47s. I don't know, like, I could be wrong. Maybe I've watched this film way too many times and I think too much about it, but it feels like they're giving up their humanity.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know, and
completely.
they're just
It's
accepting
like
that they are.
that's not really happening, and
Yeah.
you can kind of tell when their heads explode
Those
and all the grease flies out
yeah.
with all the confetti.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they are no longer going to go back to the way they were.
Yeah.
They're just going to live as greasy monsters now in the woods with their spears.
Yeah.
Going all tribal.
Yeah, that's it. And that's honestly how the film ends, with them staring at the screen with sticks.
It's like they're now
growling.
turning on to the audience.
Yeah.
Like the fourth wall moment.
Out of everything in the movie, you know, that for me is the most weirdest part, because it really makes, there's no dialogue with it, there's no real background to it of what they're doing. You just kind of, as the audience member, you just kind of have to make up your own thought, like, is this real? If this not real? You know, the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
AK-47 bit completely makes my mind go blah.
Well, there's something I do need to bring up with
Yeah.
this film, because
Yeah.
it was one of the most important parts of it, and that was the music.
Oh, yeah.
Now, like the first time I heard the music, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of catchy and it's kind of weird. It's kind of like sped up kind
Yeah.
of vocals."
Yes, yeah.
But it, it was the repetition again of the music, and they played that same bit of music at the end of every one of these sort of sequences, and by the third time I was like, "I'm going to hear this over and over and over again," and then I was like, "Okay, it's kind of funny." But then after a while, it just got so grating. It was like it was scraping around in my skull. I was like, oh God, how do you stop it? And it would just keep doing it. And of course,
Yeah.
that music is right there at the end sequence as well. I'm just like, oh man, it's like it's perfectly matched with the film. The music is.
It's as awkward, isn't it? It's
Yes.
just, when you're listening to it, you're like, this isn't a song, but then you kind of hear the beat, and it works with the scene, or at least what's going
Yeah.
on in the scene, that you're like, oh, it kind of melds.
Oh, absolutely. It really is like, the gel that
Yeah.
joins all those scenes together.
What kind of throws you off is when it will then cut to another sequence where there is no music, and then you're back to the dialogue, and you're like, oh, I kind of want that weird music to come back now.
So, Ian, how many favourite scenes do you have for this one?
Man, I was like being very careful with this film, because honestly, the film is all like one big favorite scene for me. But there are just some particular sequences where you just go, "What the fuck? What the like? Really, Mr. Director? You really thought that was a really good idea?"
Porto!
The Porto bit with the potato, like, this time in the world that we live in right now, I don't know if it's funny to make fun of somebody's accent or the way they talk. But then, in fairness, the actors weren't making fun of this guy. That's exactly how he said. The other guy just couldn't understand him, and part of you says, well, it's kind of fake and weird, and it doesn't happen. But awkward situation like that, mistaken words do happen. It goes on for a little bit too long, maybe, but that's the way to film, and just the way he's like, Porto.
Porto!
I think he's trying to say potato.
It is. It's sequences like that when you're watching it, it feels like 5 minutes when it's actually just over a minute.
Yeah. Ronnie waking up. I mean, the first time he wakes up is funny, but the second time that Braden takes him in a coffee and Ronnie's got a massive stiffy, I was like, I wasn't staring, but you can't miss it. And then Ronnie says, I've got something to tell you. And then he leans back on the bed and his ass just goes up in the air and he farts. And I'm like, fart jokes.
Are you ready?
Yes, what is it?
The dinner date with Janet, like you said, it was well awkward. I just like the way that each one of the characters is able to stand on their own, and establish who they are, the character that they are, the story that they're trying to tell it, even though it's all fake and awkward or whatever. The actors did do a quite good job, but this this dinner date where he talks about being molested, you know, and I'm like, I don't know if this is funny. I like my comedy's terrible. Like I go like up here, down here all the time. I'm always told off, but I'm sat there and I'm like, okay, it's a what the fuck scene. It's a what the fuck scene.
18. I had long golden hair and a soft mustache. I've never been able to do muscle curls or abdominal crunches.
Braden having sex with Janet. Like, I wanted him to shut the fuck up really badly. Like, am I doing it right, Janet? Am I doing it right, Janet? I've never done this right, Janet. Please tell me if I'm doing this right, Janet. I'm like, shut the fuck up, Braden! Shut the fuck up! You know? But, like, I mean, I'm sure all of us have been there at one point in our lives, you know, awkwardly in those situations. Anyway, next sequence. Any time he goes into the car wash.
Yeah.
I love those bits where he was just screaming as those things were slapping him in the face. You know, I liked the dialogue between him and Big Paul, you know, and just how... I love the camera shots, just the wide angle established camera shot.
Yeah.
Them walking down the streets in their pink outfits, or the wide shot of the car park. You know, the crampedness of the house. There was this really good shot where Braden and Janet stood in the kitchen talking, and the camera pans back, and then Ronnie is to the left, just staring in, and I'm like, oh, that's...
Yeah. For a low-budget independent movie, they definitely have some very good production values.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think it was a low-budget independent
Well,
film.
mate, you got Elijah Wood backing
Yeah.
you know, that guy fucking knows his shit. The phone sex. I'll bring up the phone sex right now. It is awkward and disgusting because the camera pans round. Braden is sat there. I've just realised where my face is going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. As you can see by my face and where his hand is, you know, he is kind of having phone sex with Janet, and it's just really awkward because he just hangs up after. He's like, okay, I'm done, thanks, and puts the phone down. You know, and it's like, okay, thanks for that. Calling each other bullshit artists constantly in the street, their big argument. And then the dance in the bedroom, Hootie Tootie Disco Cutie, was just... Like I said, the first time I watched it, I was like, what the fuck is going on? The second time I watched it, I'm like, Hootie Cutie Disco Cutie, Hootie Tootie Disco Cutie, Hootie Tootie Disco Cutie.
Hootie Tootie Disco Cutie, Hootie Tootie Disco Cutie, Hootie Tootie Disco Cutie, Hootie Tootie Disco Cutie.
Detective Jody. What the fuck, Ronnie? Like Michael said, Michael, you did amazing as Jody. Like, I didn't... For a second, I kind of believed it. And then the final sequence, after they've killed Janet, they're in the woods and they watch themselves get shot and their heads explode and grease and confetti goes everywhere.
Yeah, I really struggled to find a favourite scene in this film.
Yeah.
But I will probably say the funniest scene in the film is the sequence you mentioned just now, where they repeatedly call each other bullshit artist.
Bullshit artist.
Bullshit artist.
Bullshit artist.
Bullshit artist.
Bullshit.
Bullshit artist!
Bullshit artist!
Bullshit
Bullshit
artist!
artist!
Bullshit artist!
You, sir, are a horseshit artist!
Tiger shit. Horse shit.
Smell. Wait, Garrett, do you smell? I think. Yep. I'm pretty sure that's bullshit artist.
Yeah. And it's just the way that he keeps walking away from him and then coming back with the rebuttal and repeating the line.
Yeah.
And then walking away and walking back. I was like, it was done. I like the camera work, and I like that. Like, because again, the whole repetition thing, it was unfunny, got funny, then became unfunny again. And, you know, that's what this film does a lot of.
Yeah.
You know, much to the detriment of me. I didn't enjoy that experience. Like, sometimes I will, and sometimes I won't. It's really hard.
With this kind of film, I mean, it is a very... You have to be in the right kind of mind frame with this. I wanted to warn you so much about this movie, but I knew that if anything I said was either going to put you off or spoil it, and I'm like, no, you've got to go in fresh. And even if you come out negative and not liking it, you still experienced it. I did remember the dancing sequence with the spotlight in the street.
Yeah. It's just bizarre. And then when the music stops and the light goes out, it's just like, oh, and he just
gonna carry on.
shuffles off now. Yeah, I will say that the grossest, most disturbing sequence in the film is when he kills Oinker and then takes the nose off, and you realise why he was wearing the nose, and then he dips his fingers in and then tastes it. I was like, yeah, that's grim. That's probably the most disturbing. I mean, if you're offended by nudity, then there's a lot of that too.
Yeah, there's a whole back sequence with Janet where Braden's like this. I don't even think we can show, but as you can see by my finger, it's
It's going.
They're not playing Scrabble.
Well, Ian, would you recommend the Greasy Strangler?
I do recommend the Greasy Strangler, but, like a big fucking but, like, but.
I could eat that butt all night.
He gets it. He totally gets it. But it is fucking awkward. The dialogue is strangely delivered. Everybody seems like they're off on another planet, or they're high on drugs, or they're just, it's the first time. If you watch it the first time and it disturbs you, and you're just like, no, I'm never ever going to watch it again, then don't ever watch it again. But honestly, trust me, and I said this to Gary as well, I have sat through and seen a hell of a lot worse films that are supposed to be comedies, films that are supposed to be dramatic or entertaining, films that are supposed to be action packed and supposed to blow my mind with white knuckle rides, and by the end of it I'm sat there like, that was fucking meh. At least with this film, I actually had an emotional response to it by the end of it, and I thought, you know what, yeah, it's memorable. And you have your amazing films, and then you have your really, really fucking shit, terrible, don't ever watch movies. For me, Greasy Strangler kind of sits there right in the middle. That's
Yeah, I mean, I personally cannot recommend the Greasy Strangler. I know I wouldn't 5 minutes into the film. And like I said, comedy is the most subjective genre. It's impossible for me to judge what others are going to find funny. It really is a matter of taste. I watched this film alone, and I was bored, rigid, waiting for it to end. And laughter is infectious. And perhaps I would have had a better time sharing this experience with others. What I can say about the film is that it felt like it was trying to be shocking with its full frontal nudity. And it really was gross in places with plenty of grease.
Yeah.
And it was bizarre, with its grating and annoying music choices. The prosthetic work was great. The kills were entertaining and very silly. And the performances were not bad. They played their parts well, and it felt awkward. And it was occasionally disturbing. The film was well produced and it had some good cinematography. But for me, the pacing was just off. I'd say if you enjoy John Waters films with maybe a splash of Ren and Stimpy mixed in with the over-the-top violence and awkward sex scenes, you'll probably have a very good and memorable experience. It's moronic and childish and sometimes charming. But no matter how you feel about this film, you will never be able to get the grease out of your memory.
bullshit artist.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.